Let's try. I don't know. We don't have those staff passes.
Oh, that's everybody.
We can try going with gas.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So they're gonna throw her in other words.
I like how they have I mean, pretty much all they do.
Like that, whatever.
Your cups bigger than your head, you can see your head. Not very
Michael, thanks for taking care of that. Oh, yeah. What was that? Oh, perfect, no problem. Yeah. Fairly, no big deal, sorry about that, yeah. They must have, I'm guessing on the previous one, they were part of the sharing, and they didn't, but they did, so.
Okay, now.
Yeah, and then like last year, we sent it to Central said, we're not sending any answers, and said, well, there's no cost or anything, it's just basically saying that you want to participate if somebody decides to answer, we're not sending any. So they didn't sign it last year, so I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of an exercise, but we do it. So that those kids can participate if they want to.
There's a say exercise is good.
Yeah, 30 minutes a day.
Right.
We're there. Your supervising activities. So, no activities. No additional
Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I work in Cedar Falls, so I don't pay for
That's crazy.
All right, hey.
Well, I'm glad you have a lot of love for this town.
because certain sons, they also work on it.
Really?
They have to work on it.
Okay, that's right. Start.
What do you do?
Well, I mean, the important thing
Honestly, you go shop.
I love this feeling of the area when you're inside of this cave.
Don't you live like an hour? I don't know, and so it's really great.
So is there anyone else going on the team?
And they have a different.
This is first year.
Well, then you can start.
The 25th.
So how big were you?
You know what? So I think the first one is the.
Great. Oh, that's super. Oh, that was
She tripled down. It's like after 2 years together, we were like, oh, yeah, that's great. When I was this, now we're not. We were like, oh, we're done hybrids, let's do it again.
There's never been a state conference. You know, every state you get to is like, I'm not around that one.
I don't know, I was curious about word. Like that. No, I wouldn't do it again, I wouldn't do it again, but when she was like in seventh grade, she got a cell phone, and she had Snapchat, so she would record Bro every time we threw a fit.
That's
So now
awesome.
she gets these memories, and what a treasure.
What a treasure.
You're right, those pictures are cute. I remember that. He was
I remember like it was yesterday.
I do.
When you're supposed to age.
Let's see, that's on the
6.5 years
side.
between the two, those two. And Grant's 2 years younger than her.
Are we ready? At 6 o'clock, I'll call this meeting of the Illinois Board of Directors of the Illinois County School District to order. Acknowledge that we do have a quorum. I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I do not want the agenda approved. I strongly am against the agenda being approved because of item number 5.
We're not taking public comment at this
Wait a minute. According to Robert's Rules of Order, I can talk. When I stand up, it's in Robert's Rules of Order.
We're
The
not-
reason that you can't approve the agenda because it's not legal according to Robert's Rules of Order. When you put number 5 in there, you're taking my ability to talk to the board, about the activities down below it, away from me. And that's not, you can't use the agenda to stop debate according to Robert's Rules of Order.
So the board follows Robert's rules. They don't, it's not an interactive meeting with the public. The board does their work in front of the public, not necessarily with the public.
Okay, number 5. By adopting number 5, you've limited debate, which is not, which there's ways in Robert's Rules of Order to do it. But by adopting agenda is not one of them. How can you limit a debate on an item?
Just a second, Lee. We follow Robert's Rules of Order for the conduct of our meeting, okay?
No, you don't.
Let me finish. We follow Iowa code, okay? Our meetings go according to Iowa code, not according to that book. We follow the rules of Robert's order when we conduct our meeting. But our meetings are held according to Iowa code. And Iowa code does not say that any public resident gets to stand up on item number 2 or item number 3 before we approve the agenda. Decide whether or not we approve the agenda or comment on whether or not we approve the agenda. We're going to do our business according to Robert's Rules of Order and Iowa code, okay? You'll have a chance when we get to item number 5, if you would like, and do your 3 minutes and say that you don't think we follow the code. But
You're
not this
not
time.
following Robert's Rules of Order by including number 5 in there. An agenda is not a way to limit debate. And you're using the agenda to limit debate. How can I respond to things on the agenda when it's not even before the board? And that's what you're asking me to do on number 5. You're asking me to respond to anything that's on the agenda
We're not asking
before
you,
it's before the board.
we're not asking you to respond to
Yes,
anything.
you are.
We are asking you if you'd like to make a public comment when we get to item number 5.
But there's no public comments allowed after that.
That's
Because
correct.
of number 5 on your agenda.
That's right. We follow Iowa code, and Iowa code says that you're allowed 3 minutes to speak at this meeting, okay? You're not allowed to interject throughout the meeting for every item on the list. You're not allowed to do that. You get your 3 minutes and then you're done. You get your 3 minutes when we're on item number 5, and that's it. You don't get to comment on any other items during that.
So you're not following Robert's Rules
We're
of
following Iowa
Order.
code, and
We're not following Robert's Rules of Order.
this board is going to follow it.
You're not following it.
You have your opinion.
You're not following
Do you want to speak for 3 minutes when we get to item number 5?
What good does it do? Because none of the others been introduced. You're asking me to speak on items that's not been introduced before this board.
That's because we're only going to address items that are on that list, on the items that are part of the board meeting. And
So
if
you
it's
want
something
to-
abstract, we have no interest in that at this time. Not during this meeting. We're going to follow our agenda. This is what we're going to speak on. This is why you get 3 minutes to speak on whatever's on this list, whatever's on this agenda. Not random things. That's not allowed during that 3 minutes. So, yeah. okay.
So number 5, so you're asking me to speak on what's on your agenda without it being introduced into the agenda before it's introduced into the agenda. That's what you're
We
asking.
will approve the agenda. It's on the agenda. The agenda's.
But after it's approved,
Yeah.
we cannot go back. I'm asking you not to approve it till that's removed. And you can do it. It says so right up there.
This board can remove it. And at this time, if there's any member that would like to object to any item on the agenda or have it removed, they have the option to do so. It's not, the public does not get to do that. That's why we're having a motion for someone to approve the agenda.
I reviewed the agenda over the weekend, and I approve to approve it.
I was second.
It's been moved by Joe, second by Taylor to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes, agenda is passed. Item number 4, we'll review the board's common message. The Owens School Board strives to provide an environment where students can be happy, healthy, and awesome in their educational pursuits. We believe that each student can graduate ready for college and or a career. To do so, we will provide a safe, nurturing, and engaging learning environment that meets individual wellness, social, and emotional needs. Moving on to item number 5, open forum for district residents who would like to speak to any item on the agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to item number 6. Reports of issues impacting education in the district. Mr. Wilkie is not here, so we'll move on to Ms. Freeze, Little Husky.
For positive attendance for preschool, we have 97.71% for the month of September, and kindergarten at 96. So above our district goal for the next 5 years. We're getting ready for family conferences at the end of the month. We're planning Read Aloud to a Child Week, October 19th. Melissa Franzen is partnering with Pam and I to come and read aloud to classes, as well as I think she'll be reaching out to all of you to get you in our buildings to see if you would want to come read aloud to some classrooms. Last week was Fire Safety Week. I was charged into fire safety, so they learned about the safety of lithium-ion batteries. The fire station came, did a presentation for the students on that, and then all the kids got to go in the fire truck. And then we did a fire drill and evacuated the building in 1 minute and 25 seconds. I compared our office referrals from last year to this year. At this time, we're down by 42% from 84 on this day last year to 49 this year. Our fast reading scores, you can see above. Reading, we're at 65% at or above benchmark, 69 at or above benchmark for math. This week, we're going to resurvey teachers for HRS level 2, and then should be ready to certify for effective teaching in every classroom next week. And then our Iowa school performance profile for Little Husky and Wings Park was commendable, which was fun to celebrate last week during PD. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait for it, Ms. Cias.
This month, the students at Wings Park had the opportunity to participate in homecoming. For somebody new to the district, it was fun to see the traditions that are here in your community during that time. The students really look up to the older kids, and so it was just a joy to have them in our building and to be able to go up to the high school. Third grade took field trips to see Mr. C live at Gallagher Blue Dorm. First grade went to different businesses around town and had the opportunity to visit 4 locations in the community. Fire department came and presented to students about fire safety, very similar to what was presented at Little Huskies. They gave out fire hats or frisbees or little fire ducks to all the kids in the building. The kids thought that was pretty awesome. Mrs. Franzen has been going into classrooms and working on STEM projects with students, so they've all been using 3D pens, so they're creating a virtual structure following the parameters that she's giving. We also had our first fire drill this last Friday. We were not quite as fast as Little Huskies, a little bit bigger space. It took us 1 minute and 57 seconds to completely evacuate Wings Park, which looked really good in comparison to the beginning of last year. As far as attendance data goes, 94% of Wings Park students have been in attendance 90% or more of the time. Our fall FAST data shows that we increased in every area in comparison to 2024 for the beginning of the school year, with the exception of early reading. That one had a little dip. Everything else grew between 2 and 5%. We had a really great time celebrating the commendable designation from the Iowa School Performance Profile. We are also working on HRS certification during our professional development, iReady instructional paths, FastBridge data analysis, determining whole class interventions, content area PLCs, and grade level PLCs. And then for PBIS in the month of September, we had a walk the line challenge, which classes were following Husky Edge in the hallways. Each grade level, everybody's name was up and got a pod every time your class was like caught on the Husky Edge. So one class from each grade level won and had the opportunity to go play at the actual Wings Park with myself and Mrs. Ewalt. October, we're really focusing on PBIS following the edge in the lunchroom. We had our first Husky Pride story with the help of RSVP volunteers. Students got to spend their Husky bucks, and it was just fun to watch their excitement. And then Chelsea Judd set up a really nice opportunity for connection between staff from Wings Park and Little Huskies, and held a chunky blanket class after work. And so several staff attended that and had the opportunity to learn how to make a blanket. So, questions?
Thank you. So I apologize for we didn't have the correct report linked in there. Oh. It makes me feel better. That's a rarity. We'll move on to online. Ms. Adams.
Attendance for the month of September for O2 was at 87%. We had our highest turnout for MAPS testing this year. Keep in mind that that's kids joining me via Zoom, not face-to-face. Blown away with the amount of kids who showed up for that. We're seeing on average 10 to 12 kids coming into Parkside every day to work either with staff or get support. Our biggest struggle in O2 right now, I was sharing with Josh, is my O2 staff trying to figure out how to utilize a personal day or sick day because there's nobody else that can do the job. And that makes it very hard, and they feel very guilty. So if they take a personal day or they take a sick day, they're still logging in for several hours a day. That really defeats it. So, you know, if anybody wants to learn, we'll take and trade you up, just so that they can have a legit day when they need to take it. Odyssey, Mr. Lampier's class is consistently going to the pantry every week. Kind of excited that Miss Dudley's class joined this week. Students, again, in Odyssey are showing more effort. We've not seen the amount of effort going into work as we have this year. Kids are actually taking their schoolwork seriously. And then we're still sitting with 4 of the 6 in Odyssey going to OMS for at least one class. Our big push this year has been to get PBIS going in some way or form. So one of the things we did start with is the birthday emails. So we were able to program the emails. So on their birthday, students got an email from our staff with a picture of the staff wishing them a happy birthday. One kid emailed back and said, you know, my family hasn't even told me happy birthday today. So it just kind of made our day to know that we made their day. The other thing we implemented was a free assignment pass, which they turned in virtually, but any student at the end of the month who was caught up in their classes and passing all got a free assignment pass that they could choose to use. 28 of those were given out. And kids thought we were joking. We're like, nope, you can use it on anything but an essay, a test, or a quiz. They turned those puppies in really, really fast. On a sad note, my secretary Val announced her retirement. She's going to be extremely hard to replace. On a positive note, I was able to hire Ms. Castro to work in Mr. Lampier's room, and she has been a wonderful addition. And then last but not least, good old Hank is getting certified his certificate this week to be able to be at school more frequently. So that's just one of our O2 students. He seems to think he's a baby when she's around. So, questions?
I have a question. You said students are showing more effort in their testing than we've seen previous years. What do you think is contributing to that?
It's a really good question. I think with our littles, it's getting more comfortable. Being away from their peers in a self-contained classroom is very different. And I think seeing the big picture of that, if I do my work, if I put in the effort, I can get back, I think plays a role. With our older middle school kids, I think it's maturity. If you had looked at them 3 or 4 years ago and you looked at them now, just maturity's kicking in. They see the value of what they need to do. They see the bigger picture.
So when you talk about people having a hard time taking a day off, are they building personal relationships with each student? Do you feel like each teacher that they're touching base with are they seeing them or communicating with them every day?
With the changes that we put in with the quizzes and tests locked, because we can't have them just cheating their way through. Right. If you're off and the child needs a test or a quiz unlocked, it could be sitting another 24 hours, and that means we're holding the kid up.
Right. So my question is, are they tough? So is that because they're having communicate? I mean,
yes,
I understand that part of it, but like also, do you feel like part of their effort is because they've got somebody who cares, who's checking in,
I do. I think this has been our best year for contacts. Just that little, my notes are in, I'm ready to quiz, and the email back says, oh, they look great. Quiz is open. It's just that little bit extra.
Yeah, or the birthday thing, or that you care. Somebody cares.
Yeah.
I've seen a change in especially the last couple of years, the enrollment procedures, even getting into O2 are more rigorous. County holds meetings, transition meetings for every family coming in, so there is a expectation. The stage is set, and so I think just when we started in the first couple of years, we saw a lot of like transient students maybe avoiding things, and they were kind of like, well, it's hard here, I'm going to go here, it's going to be easier. And those students found out it wasn't, and then they kind of migrated back to brick and mortar. And I think that we have put enough guardrails up that the right students are getting into the virtual setting, the ones that can handle the workload and can do it appropriately. I think that's another reason as to why we're seeing not only more participation, but higher outcomes. Students they're there for the right reasons, and that alternative setting is appropriate for their learning style, and the teachers are providing appropriate education of that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you. Mr. Hurley is here this evening, and we'll move on to Ms. Martin.
All right. Going back to homecoming, that was my first experience. It was a very busy week, but very cool. I mean, just to experience that whole week. Lots of assemblies, and went really well. Our FCS program, I threw a couple things in there. So some shots. So Nova, she's at New York. She's 3/4 time this year, getting her feet wet, and she's doing some pretty cool things in her classroom too. So just some pictures of the kids in action, making pancakes and adjusting stuff in there with her classrooms. Been to the NICL principal meeting, so I got to meet all the guys down there in Appleton, so that was good. I called myself a token female down there. But they were very nice. We had FAFSA night last week, which Carolyn King ran, but we had the ICANN people come. NICC was there to support that too. We had 9 families that did participate in that night, which must have been an increase from years past. So Carolyn said it was a really good turnout. And if you click on the links in there, I got the attendance, behavior, and electronic device data for you guys. Which one are you going to go first? Attendance. That's just a breakdown by each level. So you can see it. So overall, our average is right, 95.44%. So pretty darn good right now. Typically, we start to see a dip, as we get going here, but they're doing really well. We're holding them very accountable for attendance, and I think that's been very beneficial to have Heather Parham and Dana students. My understanding was the way it was last year, Mr. Cannon was in a classroom, so just trying to micromanage everything was very difficult, and this is like, I've delegated, this is what I want you to be working on during the day. So she's really taking this on herself, so I'm really gonna give her the credit for this stuff and pulling the data and doing the accountability stuff. But looking at our tardies, like in our handbook, big thing was the tardy says that if you have 3 tardies and you're gonna get detention. That was very hard and it wasn't getting followed up on before. And I know that because the kids are saying that to my face. And they're just like, we never had to do this before. And it's like, well, the handbook did say this, so you are doing this now. And they're being very good about it. So there's kids in there at 7:15 in the morning with me doing detention. So they're in there in the mornings. If they're busy in the morning, if they have a college class, if they have like maybe a weightlifting class they're in, or if they are in activities after school and they can't get it in, we've let them do lunch detentions too. So we're trying to be flexible. We know kids are busy, but they're serving detentions is the biggest thing, and make up for their time. And it's starting to go down because I know we're going to hold them accountable. So get to class, be in class, be present. So that's kind of your attendance data. Behavior, get rid of that one. The next one.
What's up?
Oh, sorry. Detention, so that's where you're going to see, that's how many we've had served so far. We've had some in schools, some out of schools. You'll see the number of referrals that have been written already this year. And then 24 different staff members have already put those referrals in place. And then of that, 98 that are separate kids. So individual students, 98 individual students. Electronic devices, and that's where I'm going to work a little bit on the Infinite Campus. I'm not familiar because the way we're putting in our data right now for any electronic device, so your earbuds, your cell phones, it's pulling as a behavior in our system, right? So those kind of go together, is where it's at. But here's your breakdown for the month. And what you're looking at, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. I would have said right away at the beginning of the school year, I felt we're super tight on everything that we're doing. We are very tight. Staff is being tight. The kids know the expectations. It's starting to become a lot. You know, on the backside to micromanage it, because step 1 is it gets brought to the office. We lock it up, right? We give it back to the kids at the end of the day. Step 2 is now we're going to contact the parent. So now we have to contact the parent to come in and get that phone or, you know, earbuds or something at the end of the day. Step 3 is now we have to have a meeting. So now we have to contact the parent. We have to have a meeting. We have, you know, step 4 is same thing. Now I get involved more. We have contracts in place. So we've gotten there, you know, and it's October right now. So I started looking at the projection of this going forward. It's becoming a lot and very time consuming. Do I know what we do different? No, I don't have an answer for that. I talked to Yonder, which is just a company, about the locked bags. So kids that do get to that next level, so like we have phones being turned in, we like daily now for the rest of the year. Do we do a locked bag? They prefer not to do, just like 50 is what I threw out to them, or 25 if we purchase those. They want to do a whole school initiative. So again, we're not going to go there right now because they can be very spendy. So that's just kind of the data right now for us. I'll bring it to my DLT and we meet next Monday night again. So just to have them dig into it a little bit and get their thoughts. Because everything that we have in place right now is kind of like what we inherited, right? The task force that worked before we got here. So that's where we're at. I say very tight on what's happening. So Heather's doing a very good job with that. Any questions?
Now, did you guys do MAPS testing too?
We did. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
How did those scores come out?
Very well. We actually have the data in one of our admin things, but the kids did very well.
Good.
Yep.
What's the response from parents when they have to come in and talk about phones?
I would say very receptive and very, I mean, obviously we're gonna get some of those that are frustrated. There have
With the
been
school or frustrated with their student?
both. Some parents frustrated, they don't think this is right, this is stupid, they have to come and get it. I respect that too, I get that. But then again, that's the rules, you know, but then we get that too. Some of the parents are like, yeah, I don't know, you help me, what do we do with them? You know, I get that.
Yeah.
Probably more so the parents are definitely on board with us, like, don't bring it, stop, you know the rules. So, getting them to come in, I understand from the parents' perspective, it's very hard sometimes too. Their work, you know. I mean, there's been some nights where they're till 5:30 or waiting for a parent to come and pick up the phone. We had a parent last week that finally said, just keep the phone, lock it up, don't give it back to them. So we have the phone locked up. So the child doesn't have a password, right? So, yeah.
Well, I think that's the purpose,
Right.
to make it inconvenient.
Right.
I mean,
But
I'm
that
sorry
means-
you have to leave work, but
Yeah.
then we need you to hold them accountable.
That being said, all the associates I speak with, I'm constantly, the teachers, so much more engagement by the kids. They see their eyes.
Yes.
The kids are participating.
I mean, my
So
son
it's
says the
working,
same
it's
thing.
working.
He loves it.
100% working in the classrooms. And that was the purpose of it. It's just a lot of work on the backside to keep it working.
Thank you. We'll move on to F, discussion items, certified enrollment.
Okay, I have some not great news to share with the board and our community. Predicted news. So, our certified enrollment will be down this year. This is a copy of the same presentation I did last year on our certified enrollment, only with updated numbers. So. That's the trend of enrollment since 1972, missing some of the data in the mid-90s that we don't have access to or haven't been able to track down. But you can see over the past couple decades, pretty flat, but it's our most recent trend is a decline. And there's a peak inside of the last 12 years or so. So some fluctuation. Kind of before COVID, and then we had a little spike, and now we're kind of on the downhill side. I think that that's going to plateau pretty close to where it's at, based off of our trend at the kindergarten level is, stabilizing about 80 kids per class, and that's a little bit higher than what we're seeing at Wicks Park right now. So if we can continue to hit that mark, then we may see a few declines in the future years, but they won't be significant like this one is. So this is what I see when we do our certified enrollment. Actually, this is just one tab of like 15, but this is the most important one. And there's some data in here that's not accurate yet. So the very top two lines where it says resident public students attending your district and then resident, that one is accurate no, it's not accurate, I'm sorry. It's not accurate yet because the one below it is not accurate. So resident students attending another public school district. So the data does not pull in from us on this report. It pulls in from all the other schools in the state of Iowa. So you can see last year we were 156 students that were out, and that we're negative 40 right now. So based off of our internal reporting, we expect that number to remain somewhere close to 150. So once all the other school districts do put all their data into the state system, and they clean all their errors, and they get to the same point that we are, then this will populate and it'll be somewhere close to 150, which will show that change will be closer to 0. All right, and then if you come down to actual enrollment number 7, that one will go lower, meaning it'll get closer to 50. All right, because it'll take those 40 that we're missing on the top up there, and that'll affect that one. None of those are what we're talking about tonight. Just want to make sure that you understand what the numbers are. The most important numbers up here that I want you to look at are ones that are currently accurate, and that's from our reporting. So total school-age kids provided instructional programming served by the district. So this is our report today. So that one is accurate. We're negative 52.9 butts and seats in our district today. And then the other one, non-resident public school district attending your district, this one is also accurate. So this is open enrolled students into the district, and that's negative 12. So the net overall at O2 is still positive, And I'll show you those numbers here in a second. But the overall impact on the district is still negative 12. So,
How do you get a 0.9 student? Like,
Um,
is it just
yeah, because
half?
so we have homeschool students that,
What, like a class or two or
Yep.
whatever? Got it, okay.
yep, that's how it all comes to be. I showed you this last year. So this was a worksheet that Michael and I did several years ago, and you can see how close we were last year. We had projected negative 18. I think we ended up in like negative 21, and then this year we had projected negative 63, and we're at negative 52. So we're actually outperforming our prediction there. It's not great news, but it's still we're outperforming what the projection was. And then, I mean, obviously you can see the continuation of that projection. It does get smaller, but it still does continue a little bit. And then again, these are the projections that we had. So if you're continuing to put 80 and 90 into those kindergarten classes year after year after year, that's the net outcome of what it looks like. And then just to illustrate why this is important at the board table for us to think about is the negative impact on the cumulative position of the district in terms of our finances. The district is designed to educate the kids that walk in the door, and based off of housing and other trends in the community, just the sizes of homes and the size of the amount of kids that are in houses, it's just the impact. And I just, so you know where things are at in rural America, these are not specific, but generally, North Fayette Valley, negative 20. West Delaware, negative 30. Western Dubuque, negative 40. New Hampton, negative 20. Decorah, negative 28. Sumner Fredericksburg, negative 20. So, you didn't hear negative 15 there. But everybody, pretty much across the board, our size is down. The very small school districts tend to be maybe down a little bit, or up a little bit, but pretty consistent trend across mid-sized school districts right now across rural Iowa is graduating classes in the hundreds and you're getting classes in the 90s and 80s in return. So before I leave the financial picture here, a couple things. We are in a strong financial position, and that allows us to make decisions over several years and not like we have to make $600,000 worth of cuts right now. It allows us to be strategic and to make good decisions for the district that help us right size over time versus being drastic about anything. If we do nothing, then in 2 or 3 years we will be talking about $1 million types of cuts. And when you do that, you're talking about ending programs and having to RIF teachers. And so that's not a fun position to be in. We've been there, done that. We don't want to go back there. So it's just being cognizant of the decisions we make and the impacts that they have, not just this year, but in future years. Another maybe positive note, this is our free reduced lunch trend. So blue is free, red is reduced. You can see a pretty big growth in reduced this year, and also a continuation of the overall trend of a decline in that area. And this is a opposite of what we see in rural, also in other rural school districts. Our neighbors tend to going up. So 10 years ago, when I started here, Olin was around 60-65% for reduced lunch, kind of depending on what building you looked at, and our neighbors were in the 30s. Okay, now like our high school is below 50, and the rest of the district is in the mid 50s, and so we continue to come down while our neighbors are in the 40s. So this is just a result of again, housing and jobs in our community, good jobs in our community, and just a continuation of the work that folks in our community are doing, the board's doing, to make an impact, a positive impact on our community overall. And so it's just a positive trend, and we hope to see it continue.
So overall, again, it's just, we have an overall residential decline. I don't have the number, because we don't, until we have all the school districts submitted and all those open enrollments out and done, we don't have a final residential count. But from the trend I saw last year, I think that we're going to see -80 on our overall residential count. So that's all in, all kids, no matter what district they go to. If they are getting an education somewhere, then that's the overall impact. And I think that number is going to be somewhere around -80 year over year, which is crazy. And then this trend continues, the decline continues. We just got to continue to keep our eye on it. Open enrollment does continue to be a highlight. O2 continues to, without O2, these numbers would be much more bleak in terms of what things look like. And fruit juice lunch continues to be a good trend, and programs overall continue to be healthy. So just very aware, and as we get into budget season in the next few months, this will continue to be a story that we want to track, just because we'll pass our budget guarantee resolution and those kind of things. This has an impact on that, and our overall count is a year behind. So we don't see this money until FY27. Right, so everything's a year back. So we have the opportunity to make decisions that are impactful to those budgets and what happens there. Any questions or anything you want to specifically look at or know more about?
I've got a comment.
Okay.
Do you think, what did we say, you had like 156 that open enroll out of the district?
That's what we had last year, and we'll be close to that this year.
Okay. Do you think we could tactfully and delicately make contact with these families? Just saying, we would love to have you back in our district if you ever want a tour. We would love to show you around.
I would be. I think it's worthwhile.
Oh yeah.
We did that work when I first started. That was when I first became superintendent. It was one of the very first numbers that the board at the time was very concerned about, because it was about 120 something was our negative impact. And right now our net is like -30. So we've really come a long ways there. However, we haven't really impacted the negative out. There was efforts made 6-7 years ago to do that. I don't know if it was super fruitful, but it wasn't in vain, right? You're going to make positive impacts one way or another. And if you get one, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Just from a budgetary standpoint, the effort of getting one back is worth the time and energy you put into it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know a family that lived in town and they didn't want to send their kids here. And they went to another school or two. Finally, they said, we're going to put them in Hawaii, and they love it. They wish they would have done it from the get-go. And I bet you there's a lot of those scenarios. Especially when you start thinking you got to drive your kids, 20 minutes to a half hour someplace twice a day. I think just an olive branch out to them would do some good.
Sure. So you see that being more programmatic than writing like a district letter that comes from the district, or something more personal that's
I think it should come
from the
all
board, administrators.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'd have to think on that a little bit. You guys would probably have a better idea of what would connect with the families. But,
sure.
I think it's got to come from the top here, to an extent, all of our signatures, because we want to see them.
Sure. Makes sense.
I think too, though, like when they make contact with the school, it has to be the people who are going to make contact with them. They have to be on board and be ready to receive a phone call or give a tour. I mean, some of the people that I've talked to that open enroll somewhere else is like, well, I had a bad experience when I called, whatever. So, I mean, it's like, if we're going to do that, I think it has to be like, we have to make everybody aware so that it's not going to fall flat. If they're not going to call me at my house and ask me for a tour of the school, I think if they're going to call the school and say, hey, I got this letter, thought that was really nice, I'll give it a shot, that everybody in each building is ready for that.
What customer service lines.
Yeah, like just be ready and know what to say and how to treat them, and the spirit behind it is we want them here.
Sure.
Is there a breakdown of like why kids are leaving? Is it jobs? Is it just because? Is it sports? Is it what? Is there that?
We could, yeah, I mean, you could do some of that, like gap analysis on those individual decisions. Some of it would be speculative. We do know like some. When we lose them at kindergarten, I mean, a lot of it's because of jobs, or they went to preschool or daycare in another town, and then so they're connected into that preschool, they're connected into that right into that kindergarten. And we have felt that that's a really important decision point, that once they're established in kindergarten and make friends and they have connections in the district, like getting them to revert back after that is nearly impossible.
And that would be like the oldest child of a family of 4 eventually, right? So
Oh, yeah.
not all 4 of them as being open enrolled somewhere else. It's not, you don't lose the one and then the whole family just.
Yeah, that would maybe be an important number for the board to even know too, is that we could do households and
Right.
let you see too, because there's a lot of that. There's quite a few where you have 3 to 4 students per household that are open enrolling out.
I think it's a tremendous opportunity, the daycare part, because daycare is very difficult for people to get. And if we could figure out a way to get more daycare here and get them integrated into the system, they might be open enrollment in Omaha. Just for, once you get them here, that's quite an undertaking.
Yeah, and our daycare generally is full or close to full most of the time. Anybody that's got littles knows how hard it is to find daycare and keep good daycare, and for sure, yeah, child care is important. For sure.
This isn't just us. So how much collaboration or discussion has there been among superintendents to start doing some joint efforts, since we maybe can't provide all the class offerings we'd like to if enrollment goes down, they probably can't either. And with today's electronic world, is there a way that we can be teaching certain classes, other neighboring school districts teach certain classes, and we can keep our enrollment. If our enrollment's declining, we can keep our class offerings where we want to see them.
Yeah, the interest is at high level classes. So I met with, I put that out to our AEA superintendent, so everybody basically northeast of us. And then I also brought it to our conference school, so pretty much everybody west of us. And there was interest in the high-end classes, so physics, chemistry, calc, stats, calc 2, pre-calc, those types of classes. There was not a ton of interest in much else. And I think the other areas that are hard to find that I think create more barriers are like the CTE classes. So like the industrial tech, they have to be hands-on, right? So those are hard to do virtually. And I think that that creates other burdens or problems that will have to be overcome. The more that we can be on the front end in doing development of programs and make sure our programs are robust, it may not be the solution today, but it might be the solution in 5 years. And so I think that your mindset's correct, Bob, in terms of making sure that we have strong programs in all of our areas, and that when appropriate, making sure that we're offering them to our neighbors and continuing to fill seats with some of those hard to find areas. Anything else on enrollment?
I can't just anecdotally, from a parochial school board, we contacted every single person in the district when we were on the parochial school. We do that. And the board called them personally. I'm not suggesting this board would want to do that, but it was an option. And you do, if you have some interesting conversation.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
Was it fruitful? I mean, did you gain?
Yeah, it was. It really was. Yeah. If nothing else, you'll learn a lot. You won't actually catch it.
So just some real quick math, I mean, 150 divided by 7.
But 150 could really be 90.
That is true, so maybe it'll be like 10 phone calls versus 15 phone calls.
Right.
So,
Good to know.
all right.
Item B, Iowa State performance profile.
Yeah, now we're going to talk about some really good news. Really good news. So, just a few years ago, we had Owen Online and Wings Park and Little Husky were schools that were identified as in comprehensive needs of improvement, which meant they were the bottom 5% of performing schools in the state of Iowa. And then, which we could get into the nitty gritty of how those things are calculated, and why we maybe had some disagreement in it, but it was what it was. The high school and the middle school both had targeted status in terms of needing to improve in their areas. But we just got the new performance profiles out, and this is what they look like when you go to the state website, and you can see. So it's listed by building, the grade level served, and then the comprehensive status. So if it meets the comprehensive status, then that's what we want there. And then targeted status meaning, so comprehensive is all of your students, 100% of your students met the minimum criteria to not be identified as needing support. Targeted status means that you have a subgroup within your school district that continue to need support. So you have to have a high enough number of students in that subgroup to even be identified. So a lot of our buildings don't have enough minority students that we can be identified for having a minority group that was in need of assistance. But free reduced lunch and special education are areas that we do have enough students in, and that's something that we would typically see needing targeted status. And so middle school is the remaining one. It's their second year being re-identified for targeted status. I'll dive into that a little bit in the second year, though. So this is how the schools are ranked. They're put into 6 categories: exceptional, high-performing, commendable, acceptable, needs improvement, and then comprehensive needs of support. And then you can dive into the point systems there, how those things are calculated. And if you want to get into some high-level stats and calculation of how they do this stuff, you can see that. Jay Pennington at the state of Iowa, you get some fun emails from me trying to make sure he can explain to me how some of these things are calculated. But those are just how the numbers are built out. All right, so those are our schools. So the Iowa School Performance Profile was created in 2018. So this is the full list of every score we've ever received at our high school. And you can see the trend there. And the high school got their highest score ever, and they got an acceptable rating. The middle school, although they have a targeted area, they still got their highest score ever. And you can see that they're continuing, they're growing there. And again, significantly higher than when they started. Little Husky and Wings Park got commendable scores. So Little Husky's not big enough to have their own independent score because they don't have enough kids, so they smush them together. And again, you can see where things are at. 19, 21, and 22, we had COVID, and they were also out of their building. And there was a lot of issues happening from just being in multiple buildings, being in pods. There was a lot of things going on that I think really drove into some low scores there in 22. And then in 23 and 24, we really started to we moved into the new building, we had some stabilization, we were getting things figured out, we were reestablishing a new curriculum in 23 with ELA, new curriculum in math in 24, and then now you're starting to see those results of just really getting things tight from a curricular standpoint and being able to identify students. And then really being focused on standards and MTSS, so our multi-tiered system of support, so we're identifying students that need support and improvement, and we're getting them the support necessary for them to grow. So that's pretty incredible what they've been able to do. And O2, pretty significant jump last year, so they did still see an increase this year, I think by 1 point overall. But still an increase, and it's their high water mark as well. And again, I think they're going to make another big jump this year based off of some of their performance that we're already seeing with some of our internal scores. All right, I'm going to jump out of this presentation. That's just kind of the overall piece. And if you've never dug around here, you can definitely get lost. A couple of cool tools. So all you got to do is search the Iowa School Performance Profiles. And then you can search O-line. You can search any school district in the state of Iowa. You can search any building in the state of Iowa. So again, what I showed you down here, that's our status. But then you can see how we actually rank all the scores. So these little black dots are the state average. And you can see where we perform compared to the state average. And so there are growth areas in here for us, graduation rate being one of them for sure that we want to identify. And try to figure out how we can bump that up. You can go into individual buildings. Sorry, car tickets I'm driving here. So you can click on a school, and you can see its overall score, and then you can see like the high school, how they performed on all these different areas. And then all those things run into how we get our overall score. This is how those scores are broken down, and you can see the number of points that we get. So this is a good analysis for us to be able to find strengths and weaknesses. Right? Where are we doing well? Let's keep doing that, and where do we need to improve? All right. And then there's two more things here I just want you to be aware of if you don't know. So under additional metrics, there is attendance data, civil rights data, educator effectiveness, per pupil expenditures. So we have like staff retention. So we get a report on how many staff we retain and year over year. And you can see if we're effective at that or not. There's a ton of transparency here for anybody that would be, per pupil expenditures. You can see what we're spending and where all of our expenditures go. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you, this is really cool. You can compare O-line, let's be O-line high school, to other school districts. So you can do a view comparison search. So I'm going to say O-line high school. All right, so that pulls up all of our information. And then if you want to compare O-line high school to other school districts that are within 10% of our beds enrollment, you click there. Oh no, I broke it. Why did that happen? It's the 8 website. Sure. Yeah. There we go. Okay, 5%. So if you want to go to school districts that are within 5% of our size, there's all the school districts in the state of Iowa that are within 5% of our size. But I only want to look at high schools. So I click on that, and now we've only got 14. Great. Okay, now let's go one more level. I want to find school districts that are within 15% of our free and reduced lunch rate. And I submit that. So then I go high school. All right, so there are 2 other school districts in the state of Iowa that are within 10% of us of enrollment and within 15% of us for free reduced lunch. And you can see, who those school districts are and what their numbers look like. So it allows you to do a little bit of apples to apples. So instead of, how do we perform compared to Independence or Wapsie Valley, it lets you compare yourself across the state to school districts that are like us in terms of enrollment size, free reduced lunch size, special education population, etc. And you know, the value there is you can see how you compare to them, and then also like it's not that hard to pick up the phone and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Like you're a lot like us. You're performing better than us. What are you doing that we're not doing? And folks like that are typically willing to share. So a ton of value there. Anything you want to see anywhere, I can dive in and show you more. You can spend hours just perusing through the different reports and finding areas of strength and areas of concern.
What can we take away from this? What can we improve on from our seats?
I think continuing the work that we've been doing with our goal setting is probably foundational. And then continuing to ask questions of the principals and of me around what are we doing that's connecting ourselves back to those goals. Because this is what we look at to measure our success on those goals. I mean, really. So the things that were our goals are aligned to this work. And so the more that we can have conversations around, are we putting the right curriculum in front of our students? Are we putting the right people in place to do, you know, the work with behavior and attendance? And do we have the right programs to support the behavior students and that kind of stuff? That's really what's valuable, because that's ultimately what's going to drive the numbers in a positive direction.
Is there one school that you feel like really needs, middle school, you said there's like a kind of a pocket of something that we don't meet, but like otherwise, do you feel like there's one kind of glaring?
Yeah, I think the middle school is definitely the glaring problem from a statistical standpoint, not that they are the problem.
Right.
And I would say that we probably have, we may have a resources alignment issue, just in terms of where our support is at. When you're talking about per pupil to student or to teacher to student ratios, our district average of special ed students is around 20% of our classes. The middle school is at 26%. They're one of the highest buildings in the state of Iowa for just special ed population. We added a special ed teacher there. We could probably stomach another one. Is that person come from within our system and get moved, or do we add employment? Well, based on our talk with our enrollment stuff, it probably needs to move people, and those makers have hard conversations around how to reallocate resources into places that needs to happen. I think our conversation with the TAL grant, those are important conversations, because they were about how do we identify need areas and put our resources there. So I think we need to continue having those conversations. Actually, Jamie and I will attend a webinar tomorrow morning, because we have some reporting that he has to do now that we've done before, but now he's the only building left that has to do it. The very first thing we have to do is a resources allocation exercise, where Michael and Jamie and I sit in a room and we go through different budgetary things, ratios of teachers to students, where are your supporting programs, etc. And we have to have a hard conversation of, do we have the right things pointing to the right areas of support? When all of our buildings needed support, you don't move things around very much. When you only have one building that needs support now, maybe we have to have a conversation about moving some things around.
Well, it's good. We have to take these numbers and make sense of them and do something with it. So
yeah.
Maybe support in the middle school means you'll need less support in high school.
Right.
How will that look as the current middle schoolers grow and go to high school? How does that then affect the school there if it's the same group of kids aging up?
I'm going to answer this judiciously. Over the past probably 10 years, I think that the gap has not moved. The supports have been in place over time to help catch those kids back up. And so we just have this bubble in sixth grade. And I've told some of the staff, I would tell all staff, if they were senior high, like, what we tend to see is our teachers run away from like sixth grade, if that's like the inflection point. And sixth grade typically is our lowest performing grade level. Teacher.
So like last year, sixth
Oh,
grade.
every year over year, sixth grade is the hole. And they kind of fall into the hole, and then it takes us a while to climb out of the hole.
Okay.
And you could pull up, you give me any given year, we pull that data up, and it's probably the same picture generally. So teachers want to go one of two ways. They want to go younger, or they want to go older, or they're a little bit more mature. And so you just don't find a ton of teachers that just really want and are passionate about sixth grade. Is it elementary? Is it middle school? Or is it junior high? They're really in the middle of their hormonal changes. Their brains are changing. We want to treat them like high schoolers, but their frontal cortex is not completely developed yet. They're too old and they have language that's not appropriate for elementary. Like, it is a challenge. And it takes special folks that want that. And it's hard to find them, and it's hard to keep them, and it's hard to keep them there. There's been a lot of ideas thrown at the wall in terms of trying to fix that. And I think the middle school teachers are even aware of it. It's just a matter of, can we collectively wrap our arms around that building and those systems to say, like, every kid in this building matters, and it doesn't matter what grade they're in, we're going to make sure they have a high quality education. So, good news is that there are higher performing students coming. So our highest performing classes in the district are younger. Highest performing class we've ever had collectively is our current fourth grade. The second highest performing class we've ever had is our current sixth grade. So, as fifth graders.
Yes, right? I remember that.
Yeah.
The numbers last year, so I was like, confused when you said that, because.
Yeah, no, they're coming. It's just because we've changed things at the elementary level, because of some of the stuff we've done with standard-based grading and proficiency scales and our curriculum. Those things are working, and it's coming. Some of those things take time. It's just now it's a matter of making sure that we keep them and we get 1 year's growth out of them. That maintain and grow. So, yeah. Good questions.
It'd be interesting to see if those fourth graders take a dip in that awkward stage.
Yeah, no, and I think that we have strong longitudinal data. If you guys really want, I can talk about. I love some data stuff. So we could do some cohort samples where you take a cohort over time and you take their trends. You can remove and you can capture students that have only been here. So you can isolate students that are transient and say, okay, what are the students that have only been at home and only received our programming over the course of 4 years or 3 years, like the students you're talking about, and you can see their progress over time. You lose efficiency from that data set after about 3 years, but it is cool to look at from time to time. I'll take your report.
If you've never been on that website, if you're having a discussion with someone, which I did, about why they opened enrolled in a different school, it's very interesting because I was told like 3 different reasons, and I went on that website and we ranked higher on every single one of those 3 things in the school that they were sending the kids to. I didn't want to get in an argument with them, but it's all there. It's very easily accessible. So. Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
We'll move on to item number 8, consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Joe made the motion, Shelby seconded to approve the consent items as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor raise your hand. Motion passes. We'll move on to action items of business. Item A, approved request for SRBC modified supplemental growth.
Yeah, so, this is one of those, like, every year action items that we're advised by ISFIS to bring to the board no matter what. Our amount is $0 this year because we didn't have excess costs for providing to English language learners. This is the program. It all feeds off of the reports I brought you last month, our annual report, and it pulls all of that data that's been coded to those, basically that program code, which is English language learner. It pulls all of that information, and then it shows us what kind of weighted funding we received. To Mr. Rain's point about being about a year behind all the time, like in FY25, it was from October 23, so in the fall of 24, we received money based on numbers from October 2023. That's what that 15,116 is on line 12 there. And then it adds up like our carryover and resources available but unused, blah, blah, blah. And then as it comes down here, it's kind of like a tax return. Like if you have a number there and it's not negative or not zero, then you don't qualify for additional funding because you haven't used what you've been allocated. So that's basically where we're at on that. So. But we are bringing it to you to approve, and then I'll send it to the SBRC tomorrow morning. So.
I recommend approval of the SBRC modified supplemental amount of $0.
I'll make a motion to approve the request of the SBRC for a modified supplemental amount of $0.
I'll second.
Kelly made the motion and Shelby seconded to approve the request for SBRC for modified supplemental amount of $0. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes. We'll move on to item B, approved board policy first reading.
Board, all of these are required and mandatory policies that we have to approve. In a lot of cases, we would do these as a first and second reading. I'm still not feeling super comfortable with the simply policy stuff, just to make sure that everything's edited appropriately. And so thought it'd be healthy for us to do a first and a second reading on these, just to allow us to continue to make sure that we're making the right edits and getting them approved and getting them onto our board packet, our board policy appropriately. And so I feel good about these. But these are all suggestions from Iowa Association of School Boards, and a couple of them are related to Title IX. So right before the Biden administration was kind of done, there was some lawsuits and some changes in Title IX understanding, and then the Trump administration came in, everything got reverted back to pre-Biden administration stuff, and then there was some other lawsuits that happened. And I think most of that stuff, the dust is all now kind of settled. There was a time where like every 2 weeks we were getting a new judgment on Title IX things. And it was like, we'll just wait for all this to kind of filter out. So anyway, it's all kind of settled, and some of those things are now leading into these policy changes. And so a lot of it just has appropriate access to different pieces of what we do as a district. So this one just has to add, just needed to add the name of school nurse in there for providing health services. And then also allowing for our school nurse to stock regular medications, and then how they have to have a monthly log. Substance abuse changes. They changed the language to add nicotine products, so that it basically encompasses all types of like vapes, etc. This one I found interesting, that they just changed the name of when we do our fire drills. So code requires us to do fire drills quarterly, but how the policy was written, it was two before December 3rd, 2 after January 1st. But that doesn't make sense because if you do 2 after January 1st, doesn't that go all the way to December 31st? So the policy was never written well, and so they just changed the language to be a little bit more explicit in what that looks like. This one's come up a couple times lately, but this is one specifically out of Title IX that identifies sex discrimination and how long we have to hold the records for. Last one. So there's just some new language. Actually, I think this is identical to what we actually have, but we have to this one we have to renew every year. So this language is not new. We just have to review it and approve it annually. That's the long range needs assessment. So we do a SIAC meeting every year of some fashion. We kind of change how we do it, and then you're required to survey your community and get those results. And so there are services out there. You can hire consultants to do this for you. ISB has a service actually that they do, where they do a long-range needs assessment and provide those services back to the board. We have to report this stuff to the Department of Ed. So our work with HRS, part of the HRS certification is that we have to survey our community and our parents and our faculty. And so we've been doing that for several years now. And so we're using that as our needs assessment, because it's giving us the feedback we need to meet the standards within HRS. And if you guys want that to look differently, this policy is what we would use as guidance to change that. But again, this is one we're required to review annually, so that's why it's in the list. Any other questions on those? If not, I would recommend approval of board policy first reading, 103, 502.7, 507.2, 507.5, 607.2, 708, 804.5.
I'll make a motion to approve first reading of board policy 103, 502.7. Because those are all.
You want to say?
Okay, I approve all of those. Make a motion.
I'll second.
Taylor made the motion, Nate seconded to approve first reading of board policies previously discussed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes. Move on to district level reports. Mr. Reaver.
Pretty short report. Just a lot of work on getting roster squared away for that reporting that Mr. Ian showed you tonight. Certified enrollment, working with a lot of other districts on open enrollment. As he had mentioned, we're in a lot different place than we were just a few years ago with online, bringing in as many as we do. So there's a lot more ins to verify now, which is a really good thing. And working with the AEA and on our sped count, head count, and then our big report for staff is due at the end of this month, and that has only gained in its importance over the last few years with calculations that were used on that when they were changing the minimum salary requirements and things like that. So getting that data cleaned up and make sure we're ready for special ed audits that are on the horizon sometime this year. So, and then Kate Chapman, our auditor, will be auditing the district for FY25 on Thursday. So, and we're told that's a virtual audit. So we had that with Nolte, our previous auditor, during COVID. So a lot of our systems are paperless anyway. So it's just a matter of getting them a chair, and then they can just kind of log in and look at what they need to look at. There's some scanning that takes place, but ladies here at the office help me with that. And I think we're ready to roll for Thursday. So that's it.
Any questions? Thank you. Great.
All right, I'm gonna forego my report and just discuss briefly. So the AEA's boards have been restructured. And so they are seeking board members for the new board. There are 5 districts for elected members by school districts in those districts. So the school boards are the ones who vote for the board on the AEA. And then, so it used to be 7 districts. And then with the restructure, they're going to 5 school members voted on by school boards. It cannot be school employees. It can be a board member. So any of you could nominate yourselves. Or they can be community members. And those are due on the 15th, so on Wednesday. We nominated Michelle Molfinger a couple years ago, and then she did not win an election. We're not 100% sure if the incumbent that she would have ran against last time is rerunning. But Michelle has indicated that she would be interested in being nominated again. So without objection from the board, I would put her nomination forward. That doesn't prevent, we could put 10 more people forward if we wanted to, right? So it's not her or versus somebody else, so there's no requirement to vote. So anybody that would want to be nominated can be nominated, and then I think in December, you'll get an opportunity to vote. So anybody that's nominated in our district, we'll get a ballot, and then as a board, you will cast 1 vote on behalf of the school district. Make sense? So there's no objection. We'll submit Michelle's name again. And if any of you would want to be nominated, I would absolutely love to put your name on the ballot. That looks like this. So those are you just have to put name and address and signature. You guys send paperwork, and we'll send it off to Elkader. Not seeing anybody that wants to do that. Perfect. All right. Sounds good. That's all I have in my report.
Okay, thank you. Discussion or comments by board members. Kathy.
I think this is your last meeting, Rob. Am I right?
2 more.
2 more?
Yeah,
JK.
he'll be November.
I was gonna say.
November, because our November meeting's early, we won't have the canvas in yet. And so we won't be able to approve the canvas until December.
Yeah, Bob.
Good news!
Come on.
Thought you were seeing out here.
1 more.
It's okay. I was gonna say, well, thank you for your service anyway. But, like warm cookies and milk that night. But,
We will have treats on his last meeting, but it won't be till December.
okay.
That's the best Christmas present that you'll be here.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding. No, I have no other comments.
Speaking of goals, I know we said one of our goals is having kids be more engaged in extracurricular activities. Do you think we could stimulate a conversation amongst the board about having, exemption in the high school if you're in every sport? If you're in sports throughout the year, can you be exempt from PE?
Wait, are we having that discussion next time, you mean? Or
Well, no. So that conversation's been spurred in the building already.
Okay.
And the appropriate time for the board to weigh in on that is when we go through our curriculum manuals and adoption, which we do every January. So
nothing could get changed until next year.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say it's only 1 semester. You can't do all year.
Iowa code allows you to do 1 semester per year. It has to be the semester that you're involved in the activity. Yeah. So yeah, we've had the policy before, so we'd have to reinstitute it. So we don't have to reinvent it. We already have it, and we'll show you the code and everything.
Is the murmuring in support of it? so far, or is it just kids like, yeah?
No, I think that our administration has had conversations with our phys ed department around.
Like the seed.
I know PE.
There's interest, I think, is what's been mentioned.
My kids, they like PE, but
Right.
to try to get into some of the core classes, there's only specific times they're being offered. So it's a scheduling problem.
Sure.
So.
So you wanna have this discussion not in January? We'll have it in.
Probably have it in December, and then make sure that we want to have a discussion in December, and then we want to have if the board is generally in favor of it, we want to have the policy written and prepped and ready to go in January with an opportunity to vote. That's how that would look.
So have that
Makes
on the
sense?
agenda for December.
And that's when it would traditionally happen.
Okay, have it on the agenda for December then.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else? Shelby? Nate?
Real quick, the TAL grant, was there any stuff, kickback, feedback from not proceeding to that?
From what, say that?
The TAL grant.
Everybody voted and it never happened.
Oh, I didn't hear you about it.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know if people were
Nothing.
upset or.
Nope.
That voted yes.
No, I think it was what it was.
Forever.
Yeah.
That's it.
Can we have our acronym sheets back? Can we have new acronym sheets?
Yeah.
That's my.
We have to make new ones.
Yeah.
Because when we gave you guys packets, we laminated them, they were really nice, and then people took them home with them. So we had like 10 copies, and then we were down to 7 copies, and then we had 5 copies, and then 3 copies. You have it?
I do. One. You did not do it. I actually.
Yeah, we did 100% make new ones.
Okay, they did great.
Maybe we laminated to the table, like just tape them down so you can't.
He wants one for December so he can.
Take it with him.
Right. Yeah.
He's gonna frame it.
That is helpful. That would be helpful. I didn't know that.
We're not talking acronyms.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We'll move on. Upcoming events, meetings, and announcements. Anything? Next meeting?
Next meeting is November 10th, Monday, 6 o'clock. There was discussion about a candidate forum for the folks that were interested in running for school board, and it's kind of been a football that's been passed from the teachers union to Rotary to the newspaper, back to Rotary, now maybe back to the teachers union. So to be determined, I think, at this point, when we know the school's willing to host, the school is willing to support wherever we can. We'll communicate stuff, but we're not allowed to organize, at least from our level. So just waiting for those organizations to be able to kind of get their ducks in a row. But we'll support that as best we can if that does end up taking place. And then so the school board election is November 4th on that Tuesday, it's not Saturday night. And then our regular board meeting next Monday. Like I said, I don't think that we'll have the canvas back yet. Typically, we don't get it back about a week because they have to get all their stuff from Buchanan County before they can get it to us. So we're not convinced that we can have an organizational meeting on that Monday, which is why we're going to do it in December. Sorry, Bob.
Oh, it's okay. I don't have any plans anyway.
All right. Yeah, I'll get it. Is anybody interested in convention? You guys are probably getting emails from ISB. It's the week before Thanksgiving. It's a Wednesday. If anybody wants to go, I'll go.
Re-elected.
I don't. True. I go if any of you want to go. So if anybody wants to go, I'll drive. We can, put it on the night before, or we can put it on that morning. It's like a 5 o'clock leave if you want to do that morning, which isn't terrible. I prefer that over sleeping in a hotel room, but
I gotta work on it.
5 a.m.?
I got it.
Yes.
I did it last.
We did that when we went to Day on the Hill. Yeah, it was fun.
It was a good day.
We were
Yeah.
just,
And you were awake the whole day.
Yes, she had some pretty high nutrition.
If you've not gone, I think the value of going to convention is just you're with other board members and going to sessions that, just different things about boardsmanship and different problems different schools have that they're presenting on. There's normally a pretty good keynote speaker. They serve a good lunch.
I would go if anyone else wants to go.
I would go by anyone.
I'll think about it, unless you have to role play in front of
No, it's not a training. It's a conference. You go to presentations and you listen to what they're saying.
Okay. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
a ton of free stuff.
There's a ton of free stuff. Yeah, the vendors is part of the fun. All the swag.
Coffee cups you don't want.
Especially if there's hundreds of
I
people.
feel that.
I think if you're okay, I think we'll register you, and then you can decide.
It's one day, is it one day?
So the convention is actually 3 days.
Right, but which
So the
day?
delegate, there's a delegate convention. We've never had anybody go in my time here, where you go vote on policies. You're like one vote of 300 and some votes. And they serve a supper, and then the next day is the convention. It must be on Thursday. It must be Wednesday. Must be the delegate assembly. Thursday is the convention, and then Friday is like new board president training that next morning.
So it's the 20th is what I put in my.
That sounds right.
20th,
Yeah, we can confirm.
which is a Thursday. If we were talking about going on.
I'm pretty confident it's Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday to Friday. Yeah.
And it could be the Thursday to attend.
Yes, and we are capable of going out on Wednesday and getting a hotel.
Okay.
So, we'll get at least two. You're a maybe, or you a yes?
I'll let you know.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
You're in?
We're in.
All right, so we'll do 3 for sure. Don't you know? Joe?
It's a contingency.
Sure.
I know, but you know by then. Would you go?
Yeah, you would know by then. We can withdraw. I mean,
Does it cost?
changes.
Does it cost to register?
No, I think they say bills after the fact. I'm pretty sure that you could actually register the day before if we really wanted to.
You can register.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Nope.
Okay. We're on to item number 13, we're closed session for superintendent evaluation. Require the motion.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
read the
To
whole
evaluate
thing.
the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge be considered when necessary to prevent needless or irreparable injury to that individual's reputation and that individual requests a closed session.
I'll second.
Kelly made a motion, second to go to closed session. Is there any discussion? If not, we will be roll call. Nate?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Bob, yes.